Hello everyone, welcome to the Koko Tel channel. I am Koko and this is Tel.
Hi. So today we're going to talk about
self-love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have guests here today, my daughter Fatima and her friend Aisha. They will join in our conversation. So let's get started.
Yep, so we are thinking of beginning with a question because the concept of self-love it's really elusive. It's hard to grasp because love in itself means so many different things to different people. And when it comes to the self, it's not as easy to define because your own personal journey with yourself is so personal. You can't really have someone else outside of you understand your relationship to yourself. So when it comes to self-love, what does self-love look like to you? So that's where we thought we would begin with that question. Fatima, I know I asked you what it looks like to you, but go ahead.
Yeah, so self-love, what it looks like to me is just like accepting yourself, accepting every part of you. Also like having a friendship with yourself, being okay with just being alone with you, and also being gentle with yourself too. I think that's also part of self-love because, when you love somebody, you're gentle with them. So if you love yourself, you're going to be gentle with yourself, and I feel like a lot of people are always hard on themselves, so yeah.
That's true.
Very good points.
Yep. Those are very good points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone else want to talk about what their relationship is with their self? Your relationship with yourself in terms of love. Didn't tell maybe you or Aisha?
I mean, I can speak for myself what I think of self-love. For me, it's building, that relationship with yourself. So you get to this point of not being content with yourself, but being content not having somebody else with you, that you are your own best friend. You're not in need of anyone else, that you're so comfortable with yourself, but not comfortable to the point where you stop working on yourself, because we always have to constantly work on ourselves every day. We constantly have to work on ourselves to grow and to become a better version of ourselves every day. And that's what I think, to me, self-love, what it's about, that's part of it. To be growing each day, being better. Do you have something to say?
Yes, yes, I do.
Go ahead, add something.
Because I was like, I don't want to forget it.
Okay.
I feel like when a person doesn't have self-love, they feel like there's something missing. And so to fill in that space, they look for it in another person. Like they'll just get into a relationship just so that they can feel that love that they don't have for themselves. So that's why I've seen so many people, like, they're not okay with being alone. Like they always need somebody there, because they don't have that love for themselves. So they think that that person can give them that love that they don't have for themselves, but that's not the case.
Right.
So
that's true.
That.
Yeah. No, that's good that you added to that. Very good point. And so, with self-love, it's taking care of yourself and adding on to what Fatima said about, or what she said earlier, of not being so hard on yourself, because a lot of us can be hard on ourselves where we shame ourselves to the point where we bring ourselves down, where we cannot grow, or we self-destruct. Okay. So when you have self-love, you're not going to destroy yourself. You want good for yourself. So if you're good to yourself, you can be good to others. And if you don't have self-love, if you're, for example, you're very wounded, then those wounds end up
coming out on others.
Yes. You're taking it out on others because you don't have that love for yourself. And, and just like what I wanted to add, what you said, Fatima, about, being a friend with yourself, that gentle self-talk is really important, because when you have that gentle self-talk, you can move on. You're not going to lead yourself to depression. And that's why a lot of people are in depression these days, because they don't have that self-love. When you're lacking self-love, you just want to give up on life. You want to give up on a lot of things You know, there's no will to better yourself and to think positive thoughts, because the thoughts that you have, you're having thoughts of doom. So when you have thoughts of doom, you're not going to have the will to, or the motivation to do good things for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Great points.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's like so true, like what you said, like having like that shame that like makes you feel stuck, and then when you have like that negative self-talk, you make yourself believe like that's how you are, that's the way you are, and that's like the way that like it'll always be, like that's how you feel like in those moments. Yeah, I'm getting emotional, so I probably won't be able to talk.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We want to have everything natural here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like so true that you do have to like talk to yourself like gentle, and like I remember like I would try to talk to myself like I'm a baby.
Yeah.
Like I would
That's
hold
good.
myself and I
The
would like
reparenting.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
reparenting. We talked about reparenting.
Yeah.
That's part of
Yeah.
self-love, is the reparenting, soothing yourself as a parent would soothe their child.
Yeah.
That's part of self-love. And it's important. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like hearing what each of you said,
Mhm.
like sparked things in me
Mhm.
because I feel like my relationship with self-love, it keeps changing
Mhm.
because I keep changing.
Mhm.
Like what I need, from 1 year to the next keeps changing
Yeah.
because I keep unearthing different layers of myself.
Mhm.
But in the beginning, when I was younger, I really didn't know where to start when it came to self-love. And I think I kept missing the mark, thinking, oh no, this is where I start with self-love. Or no, this is where, because who really knows? But I think the reason why I kept getting lost is because it had to do with forgiving myself first. Like having mercy on myself and
Right.
forgiving myself for certain mistakes that I've made, that it's almost like you can't live with yourself.
Yes.
And you shame yourself because you're just like, oh gosh, I don't even want to look at you, or I'm disgusted with myself.
I can totally relate to that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, so I thought, okay, I need to back up because maybe forgiveness is too hard still because I'm not there yet. And I think where I started, this may sound really silly, but it was with you. Would you have coffee with yourself?
Mm.
Because
I
you would
remember.
only have coffee with someone you like,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who you think is worthy of your time and of your
Mhm.
energy to sit in conversation with in a deep and meaningful way. And I had to get to that place. Like, would I have coffee with me? Because I would have to think I'm a pretty awesome person in order to have coffee with me. And I'm not saying that in like a arrogant way.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, I'm freaking awesome. Like, no, it's just, am I worthy? Do I have that healthy self-esteem, that healthy self-worth? And I'm like, well, no, I didn't. At some point, my self-love wasn't healthy. And then you have to figure out why and all that, then you go deep diving, trying to figure out why wouldn't I have coffee with myself? Why do I think I suck?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to love yourself? Like I could love someone else so easily,
Yeah. Exactly.
but why can't I love myself? And I was just lost in that picture. Like, gosh, where do you start?
Yeah. I think we all have been through those thoughts that you have had. I've been there, just thinking, the worst things of myself and not having that mercy. And mercy is key.
Yeah.
You have to be merciful to yourself as you are with others, be that to yourself, be kind to yourself. And so not just your thoughts, but also taking action, doing things physically, whether eating right, exercising, it's all about loving your mind, body, and soul, taking care of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I was about to bring that up
Yeah.
about, no,
Okay.
you said it. You took the words right out of my mouth
okay.
because self-care, when it comes to the body, that I used to struggle with that a lot
Mhm.
because I felt like I had to have a certain capacity to do things that everyone else did. And if I can't produce at the level of, let's say, that person or this person, because they're doing it, why can't I do it? So I'm going to push my body, but that's me betraying myself.
Yeah.
That's me not loving myself and honoring my own personal capacity.
Right.
It's like, okay, but this person, that person that you're comparing yourself to, didn't grow up with all of these
Exactly.
like ailments that you had,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, or just because, you know, you just don't have the same capacity as that person. But it's what I envy in them, because they have all this energy and they have the ability to keep going or to produce. And because I want that and I try and emulate them, I'm beating myself up is what I'm doing. I'm torturing myself. I'm knocking myself down. That's not loving yourself.
Exactly. Right.
And that was hard for me to see, because you have to accept your capacity and love yourself regardless.
Right. Yes, because we all have a different capacity, what we can handle, just like how we're all growing at different rates. So each and every one of us are different, and we all have different realities in our life. So how we get to that point of self-love, it's going to be different for everybody, you know, taking those steps. But it's baby steps too as well. You know, you start something small, like telling yourself in the morning, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to have a glass of water. I'm going to sit for 5 minutes and just think about good things in my life, you know.
Yeah, that's like such a gift to yourself.
Right. You know, things that I'm grateful for. Just simple things like that, where you sit just for a few minutes, and until you make a habit of that, it's an exercise. You know, just like when you go to the gym, you have to build muscle. Well, the same thing
Very
with this.
true.
You have
Self-love.
to build a muscle
It's a
for
practice.
self-love. It's a practice, and something that you have to commit to, you know, on a daily basis. But when you begin, everything should be, you know, in baby steps, so that you don't get overwhelmed and that you can be consistent. So, you know, when you think mind, body, and soul, so you have all those different categories, and for each one, you know, there's a different set of things that you have to do, you know. So obviously physical, it's whatever exercise you're into, yoga, or going to the gym, or walking, whatever it may be that resonates with you, you choose it, and then you do that particular thing that resonates with you. And, you know, for your mind, you know, whether it's journal writing or just setting that time, like I said before, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, listening to a meditation, or doing your own meditation of just sitting outside in the park and just, you know, looking around you and seeing the beauty in things outside of nature. It could be anything, because it's your personal journey of learning how to care for yourself and how to love yourself. So those are just examples.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a hard thing to remember to do,
Mm-hmm.
because we function in autopilot. And
Yeah.
there's something, I don't know if Fatima, if you said it while the camera was on or not, but you said you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something we need to do. Like in like the littlest fashion, where it's like, okay, I'm going to exercise right now. It's like, you almost have to tell yourself, this is me loving myself.
Yeah.
Like before you begin.
Mm-hmm.
Or like if you're going to eat a piece of fruit, this is me loving and caring for myself.
Yes.
Like make that intention clear to
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
rather than just doing it on autopilot and not knowing why you're doing it.
Right.
So that you remember, I am constantly loving myself,
Yeah.
doing things throughout the day to thank yourself,
Yeah.
even for the little things you do. I know this may sound weird,
No,
but like, even like when you go to the bathroom, like the simplest rituals, and it's just like, oh my gosh, thank you, body, for releasing for me.
Yeah.
Because that's you loving yourself.
wow.
And you know, it sounds strange, I know, but
Yeah.
it's being in relationship with yourself and talking to yourself in that way, because that's how else do you establish and maintain relationship, you know, through communication
Yeah.
and gratitude, thanking yourself, thanking your body.
Yeah. And also, like, yeah, it connects to our spirituality too. Whereas, you know, how we thank God for everything,
Yeah.
you know, for even for us Muslims, having those prayers before going into the bathroom, coming out of the bathroom, and just for everything before we eat, that also connects to,
For sure.
you know, the thankfulness of,
It's the vibration of love.
yes, of love.
Yeah.
And that, God loves me too. And God is putting it in me to love myself, to take care of myself.
Right. I
You
agree
know,
with that.
And so,
God wants you to take care of yourself.
yes, because he created us, and, you know, it's like a miracle of us being here, that we're created. And so we thank God for everything, you know, on the daily basis, and to see everything outside, even if you're outside in nature, that, this is all God's beauty.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it's all a gift.
yes.
Right? Like you are the gift. Nature is the gift. So we love the gift.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But yeah, these are all different aspects of the, you know, nurturing, because, you know, that's part, I would say, the soul, the spiritual side of it, of self-love.
I like how it's like little things you guys are talking
it
about.
really is.
Like I mentioned, like just going to the restroom or like making yourself eating a fruit. Like it's like little acts, and so it has to be like a big thing, like something unreachable.
Right. Anyone can do it.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to like go buy yourself like a giant bouquet of flowers
Or go
or
on,
a
like,
diamond ring.
$1,000 trip.
It's not that.
$1,000 is not even a lot. Like a super expensive trip somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but you know.
Yeah, like you don't. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't be happy until I do that.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly. You can love yourself at any time, in any moment.
And it's accepting yourself, you know, but not in an arrogant way, you know, because there's people who are just so into themselves, but that's like the ego. So self-love has nothing, not with the ego, it has nothing to do with the ego, but it has to do with you loving yourself, that you want what's good for you, what's healthy for you, to become whole, that you want to heal yourself if you've been through so much. You want healing for yourself. You want peace for yourself, which reminds me of when it was hard for me. I'm still learning like how to be okay with peace, because I got so used to chaos. So it's just like growing up and, you know, there was chaos in, you know, growing up in my past, you know, in my youth, not from my mom being mean, but like the outside, just her being sick, and then those other situations that had happened with my dad and everything, him not being in my life, everything seemed chaotic.
Right.
You know, and I had to step up as like my mom's like spouse or whatever. Like I felt like I was responsible for her.
Right.
You know? And so you get used to this, you know, you're programmed like to be in a state of chaos, and then when
Survival. Survival
and then
mode.
when you have this peace, like it's just so hard for you.
You want to create more chaos because it's more comfortable.
You're like your body.
You're like, it's too quiet.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
And so so then you're just like, why am I getting upset, or why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel depressed?
Anxious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like even though there's nothing happening, like you're literally just like, you could be just laying down in bed and then you feel that way.
Right.
And there's no reason to feel that way.
But it's because your mind has already been programmed to that.
Yeah.
And it's not used to peace.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to now help yourself slowly get to feeling that peace.
Yeah, like you deserve that peace.
Because some people feel
Deserve
like that. They don't
consistent
feel
peace.
they feel like they deserve to not have peace.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like it's that voice.
Yes.
Like you don't trust your own voice.
Right.
Or you don't hear your own voice.
Or you don't hear
your
it.
true voice.
You suppress it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The voice that's speaking with self-love.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your authentic voice.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's part of self-love. We have to get back to our authentic self, find our authentic self. Because once you get to honoring your authentic self, that's where you really are feeling that self-love.
Yeah.
And that's where you
will
become
flourish.
Yeah. That's where you can become unstoppable.
Yeah.
We talked about unstoppable earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because you feel like you could just do anything. There's no fear. There's no fear after that, you know. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just like, inshallah, we all get to that point.
Inshallah.
Because I want to get to that point.
Yes, I do too. And it's work and it takes time. That's another thing is we have to realize that when we're working on this, you know, we tend to want things to happen so fast and we get frustrated with ourselves because we're like, oh my God, why do I still feel like this?
Yeah.
But everybody has, in their own journey, we all have the different pace.
Yeah.
So don't put a timeline on it. Just work on it slowly, however you can. Be consistent with whatever you can be consistent with.
Just keep loving yourself.
Yes, and everything will fall into place.
Yeah, and I feel like it's constant evolving.
Yes.
So even if you reach your goal,
you still have to keep working on yourself.
You still have to keep going because the way that it looks is going to shift, or it might not feel the way you thought it was going to feel when you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Or as soon as you got there, God raises the bar.
Yes.
And then that comfort doesn't last too long because your soul's going to want more.
Basically, like the work just never stops.
Yeah, it just means you peeled one layer.
Yeah.
That was just one layer you were working on.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
You have to.
Another revelation of the depth of self-love.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work on yourself till you get to your grave, you know, because it's easy for us if we slack and we say, oh, we're good.
We're done.
I'm done. No.
There's no such thing.
That's a big problem. If we think we're content with ourselves, oh, no. Then the ego gets in the way. So we don't want to be content with ourselves. We want to feel that, okay, I reached this goal, or I'm doing this now, I progressed. So now let me work on this.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing, just like how you said, the layer. There's that layer is going to pop up and it'll show you, oh, you need to work on this now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think you just have to accept that there are layers and accept that it's just work for life.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to feel so heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because once you keep doing it and you get the hang of your approaches of what works for you, then it does get easier, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you find a trusted person that you could bounce your ideas off of and someone who can hold space for you and guide you when you're lost,
Mm-hmm.
then it does get easier.
Yeah.
And you kind of get used to it's like you get used to managing the painful parts.
Yeah,
It does get easier.
it does.
I'm just saying that because for some people, they're just so afraid of the pain, or it just hurts too much. They think it's never going to end.
Right.
And it's like, no, it does. It does. And the more you do, it's just like anything. The more you do it, it's just going to flow better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes practice, you know,
Yeah.
a part of your daily practice when you get used to it. A habit, actually, that's what I'm trying to say. If you keep building on it, then, you know, these new habits that you're doing for yourself will you know, make you consistent because it's become a habit. But we want to develop these good habits.
Right. I feel like it's the trick, which is not easy. It's always just allowing or surrender,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, because the more you resist, the harder you're making it on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to say, oh, just allow or just surrender. But it's not that easy when you're in that spot
Yes.
to surrender.
Especially if you're going through a tornado, when it feels like a tornado.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to surrender, but that's what you're supposed to do. You have to surrender to it because you have to learn from whatever you're going through in that situation. You have to learn from it.
Yeah. It's like one of the greatest acts of self-love is to surrender because you're giving yourself the break
Right.
of letting go, of not trying to control.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because when you're trying to control something, every part of your body is invested in trying to control. So your mind, your emotions, your physical body is like tense and you're holding on, you're trying to move something. You're trying to move an immovable force that's not supposed to be moved by you.
Exactly.
So it's like, it really is like an act of love to yourself to surrender and to let go.
And that can be connected to a growth mindset too, with surrendering, because with a fixed mindset, you're going to have that
Yeah, it
idea
has
of
to
control.
go this way.
Yeah,
one
it
way.
has to go this way, and if it doesn't, it's the end of the world.
I didn't think of it like that. Like, yeah, that is so true. Like, when you feel like you have to be controlled, of course you're gonna be tense, and like you're just gonna have so much like resistance to
Right.
whatever, and it like does like so it sound like block your blessings. Like
Yeah.
you don't see
That's
like
true.
the
That's
good stuff
true.
around you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, we're not in control of things. We make effort to do things, but the results is not in our hand. And whatever happens, it's like God is in control of everything. And, whatever lesson we are here to learn, we have to accept that challenge and to roll with it. And, in order to roll with it, we have to have that self-love, and know, okay, this is happening for a good reason.
Yeah.
Because whatever it may be that you're being challenged with, okay, it's something I'm supposed to learn. I don't know yet what I'm supposed to learn. But in the end, normally, when you go through problems in life or whatever situation happens, you end up seeing what it is. Like,
Yeah,
that lesson, that's what I was
Yeah.
supposed to learn.
Because your problems are your teachers.
Right,
Yep.
But you have to accept your teacher.
exactly. And you can't have a big ego for that. We have to, be in control of or not control, discipline our ego. Our ego has to be disciplined, because if we don't discipline it, then that just takes the best of us, and it always leads us to
Right.
dark way of thinking and negative way, and it prevents us from loving ourselves.
Right.
Yeah,
Also,
in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to add that if you're surrounded by people who love you in a healthy way, it makes loving yourself in a healthy
That's
way
so
easier.
true.
Because if you're surrounded by
Yes,
people who are
absolutely.
tearing you down and, just being toxic or calling you names or being just negative or even inappropriate, it's like, if you're taking that, that's not self-love. You're going to feel the self-betrayal, and that's the betrayal part's going to eat away at you sometimes more than the
Yes,
other person's
definitely.
toxicity, because you're doing it to yourself,
Mm.
and that's just tough on for yourself,
Yeah.
because you can't blame anyone. You're doing it to yourself. You're not loving yourself healthily. So I would just add, surround yourself with people who will love you, beautifully,
Who will honor you.
honor you.
Because
Yeah.
when you surround yourself with people who will honor you, you're honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Because we
Right.
have to have dignity. That's what it's about. Self-love is part of it. That's dignity, not arrogance, Just want to clarify that. This is self-love is not about arrogance. It's all about having self-respect, self-acceptance, and dignity, and continually growing, wanting to learn, accepting to hear the truth when you're doing something wrong. When you have a friend that comes to you and calls you out, they tell you in a nice way, a loving way, but you have to accept it, because we will do things that are wrong and we can't see it ourselves sometimes, but somebody else can see it.
Yeah.
And if they point it out, they're doing you a favor,
They're like protecting you from like hurting yourself.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And saying it lovingly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything
Yeah.
else on
Do you have anything
self-love?
else to add?
No, I don't really
No?
have anything on my mind.
Okay.
Are we feeling like we have different approaches to loving ourselves?
It sounds like
Not
we're all
really.
on the same
Same page.
page.
Yeah.
I feel like that
Yeah.
with this
Okay,
conversation.
good. Yeah.
If anyone is struggling out there, with self-care, like trying to get on that path of self-love, please reach out to us. Again, you can send us a DM on Instagram at Koko Tel, and we can talk to you and help you find a way of starting that journey on learning how to have self-love for yourself.
Thank you for
Do you have
adding
any-
that. No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our guests. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us, and thank you for your valuable insights.
Yes. Okay. Bye.
See ya, guys. See you next time. Bye.